In this video, I'm going to talk about being highly sensitive people and empaths, what some call empaths, as far as they feel empathy for people, and there's more to it than that. But I'm going to use an example with us using a woman whose name is Connie. She's 70 years old. I'm going to use her as an example of her experience. Okay, I'm going to get it out. I already did this one, and then I somehow hadn't clicked on to record at the time. So, yeah. But anyway, Connie is like I said, 70-year-old woman, and she has experienced different kinds of things, like being more sensitive to things than others. And she notices that generally she feels more empathy. She feels like she can actually, she puts herself in other people's shoes more often than others, and deeper. She feels everything deeper. Okay. Now, she didn't know that until she saw it. Somebody mentioned, that other people felt this way, had experienced this. Some did, either one of them, until she saw it online on Victorson County's own website for their county, for most people in the county, called Virtual County. People advertise stuff. They talk about local things going on in the county, and you can see videos, read stuff, whatever. It's like the whole internet, but this is just for the county. And there's one area they don't allow most people to use it, and that is one town there in the county, mainly, and it's basically the outcast. Okay. And she was really glad when she heard, about that there other people experienced the same thing, that there was nothing wrong with her. Some people, they were really sensitive to, they had allergies, and they had, really sensitive to things like medications, sound, taste, and so on. Not everybody was the same as far as highly sensitive. And as far as the empathy, some saw it more as a mystical, magical thing, and Connie, she didn't. She thought, it was something that she just picked up really early in life, and she didn't think she was born with it, but she developed, okay? And as she got older, and it just developed. She knew not to trust everything that she felt, as that her, people say trust your gut. She learned not to totally, because sometimes your gut might be telling you one thing, but your mind might want to change it around to another thing. Wishful thinking kind of thing going on. A little more background detail. Now, Connie lives in Bella, Texas, and she lives right on the edge, right like on the line of that town to the one where the outcasts live. And she has a neighbor right there. Now, on the other side, she has a lot of land and property, back, front side, the other side. Well, her neighbor on the other side, these are basically people, these outcasts. They're outcasts for a reason, but they're just bad people. Okay, just all around. Most of them, not all of them. Of course, never is it all. Okay, people from one town or one city, they're not all something. Okay, but her neighbor happens to be one of those. And her neighbor decided one day to get a wind chime. Okay, a big wind chime. And she's had trouble with her neighbors. They are people who stay up real late at night, and she's an early bird, and they just, night owls. And they're loud, they're noisy. And, it's tough on her because they're so noisy. She has trouble sometimes sleeping whenever they do. Sometimes, they have parties in the backyard, and, so noisy for her. But when they got a wind chime, and that has always, just the sound of a wind chime on TV irritated her. So they got a wind chime. It's windy there, as it is. And it was so loud, so big, so loud, she finally decided that she, needed to go next door and tell them that she can't sleep with that and she's having trouble. So she did. And they said they didn't care. It was going to be right there no matter what. No matter what she can do, what she thinks. And she thought, you think so? They were young, like in their 30s, kind of young in comparison to her. She's 70. And she thought, she lived a lot longer and she knew how to handle these kinds of things, okay? That was her attitude. And she did know how to handle these things all by herself, okay? Okay. Now, she lives alone, and she's retired, lives alone. She spends a lot of time, her time, she likes to watch what she calls her soaps, which are basically people on Virtual County that, do things like similar to blogs, vlogs, video blogs, and she calls them her soaps. And so she saw online that there was this, there are several of them, but construction, remodeling, and all this, and that's what she was looking for, was somebody who did that, somebody local, and, close. So she called, and it was a guy named Connor, and a young man, in comparison to her, and she told him that she really wanted someone to do, and she told him what she wanted him to do. It was basically to build a shed or, shack, something like that, on that property line there, on her side of it now. And she told him she also needed somebody who would know how to put a speaker in there and, wire it up and all this stuff. And it's like she could use her computer in there, but she wanted a spare speaker in there that would be attached to her indoor computer. Well, they told her that they could do better than that. He told her, it doesn't have to be connected like that. She didn't know, she didn't really know what was technology today, what it could do. And she asked how long it would take, and that he said, well, right now, we could do it, really quick. But, he said he had a crew and all that stuff. But he said he wanted to come out and do it himself, so he did. And got her all wired up, okay, for it. Now, are you following what Connie might think to do? Because she's a smart woman, okay? She's a smart woman. And some people think of her as an old woman. She doesn't feel old. And they think of her as a grumpy old woman. She's not grumpy, but... Okay, so, where was I? I had to stop for a minute. But, so Connie, she had them build a shack, with just, the door was facing more in her direction, away, not in the direction of her neighbors. And she was pretty ticked by now that her neighbors, they had no concern about her or any other neighbors. It was all about them, what they wanted. And she just couldn't believe that people were like that. Sorry about all these stops and all, but that's how it goes. Anyway, so Connie is, she basically, she's pretty upset, that she's going to have to go through all this to get them back because they just didn't care. But she was determined. Now, Connie has a lot of money. People who are the outcasts, they generally don't. And no, she wasn't going to take them to, court or anything like that. And because, she wanted to show them, yeah, you mess with some people, they're going to fight back. Now, she's not going to do anything illegal. No, she was going to do everything legal. Okay. And, that'll show them kind of thing. But, Connie needs to learn. These people that come like that, they don't generally learn. They might come back. But anyway, she's tough, okay? So, like I said, she got Connor to come in, just somebody she saw on the internet. He seemed like a nice guy when she spoke to him. And, he was from, she saw the right side of the tracks. And that's just not in the outlaws, okay? Just that's all that meant was he's not an outlaw, people they call outlaws. So he comes in, like, and does all that. And what she does, okay, because she had actually considered going far as to get this herself in reality and real things. Okay, I don't want to ruin it, but what she did, okay, she set a timer, and she had asked him how she could do this and all that, but she's up real early anyway, but she set it to where every morning, very early in the morning, every morning, when her neighbors would still be asleep because they're night owls and out partying all night, making noises, not every night, but quite often, is she set it up to where it would go to the speaker, and what it was a rooster. I mean, you think about that. That's kind of smart, because there's this shack. They don't know that the shack is isn't a chicken coop. I mean, usually they're open, but no, they might not know that. And plus, they have really tall fences, so they would have to somehow, some way, get up on the fence to see. But every morning, real early in the morning, boom, rooster for a long while. Very, very loud. And what do you think? Do you think that worked? Do you think the neighbors who had this really loud wind chime, that she had asked them if they could please at least move it to where she didn't hear it, and they refused, do you think it worked with them? Or do you see it as that kind of neighbor would retaliate? What do you think, really? What do you think that would happen in that kind of situation? Me, I would think more like retaliate, unless there was some kind of circumstance in which there is where she lives, that if they mess with her, this sheriff comes after them. Okay, if they mess with anybody, that people who are thought of as the outcast and the outlaws and all this stuff, the sheriff comes after them, and they really don't want that kind of thing. So it worked. She showed them, this is how it is. And all night long, all day long, she's hearing this wind chime, just making so much noise. And they didn't care. Well, she didn't care if she woke them up every morning with a rooster. Well, it was a speaker, on speaker, but they didn't know that. So, anyway, I thought I'd give that as an example. But what about you? Are you that sensitive to noise too? I know I am. I cannot stand wind chimes. I can't even stand hearing them on TV or on video. I heard one recently on somebody's video. And I had a neighbor that I had one time, and somebody had said something, and I was like, it's just too noisy, and took it down. But somebody had said something. I don't think it was that time to me, but the next time I heard one, somebody had said something about how horrible it is in an apartment complex when somebody has a wind chime in a windy place. This part of Texas is windy. Where I live, it's windy, very windy. And one of my neighbors, why I thought about this, was one of my neighbors, not next to me, but kind of a little bit down the road, they got one. And if I'm outside, I hear it, but not like I'm right next to it, hear it. But still, I'm like, I feel sorry for their neighbors. The next door, they're both next door neighbors and all. And to have to listen to that all day, all night, that's just wrong. When you're not considerate of other people, it's all about you. Some just call them narcissistic people. Yeah, but anyway, just for the record, that is a hypothetical fictional story. I used Ruth and Connie. I don't think I accidentally called her Ruth earlier, but I might have. But it's a Ruth and Connie story. These two women right now, and I use them as examples for things. So anyway, if you want to subscribe, click that circular icon that pops up, and you can hear more stories along this line. It's a whole series with other characters too, of course. But a lot of it is about empaths, and I'm just starting to, upload them and stuff like that. Anyway, I've done this for years as far as just telling stories to show examples of stuff. At the time. I'm not monetized. I don't get any money off of it, so it's no kind of promotion or anything for money and all that. Yeah, it's just stories I like telling, because I think when you just sit there and it's dry stuff, you know, saying this is what an empath does, and that's just too dry for me, you know. I was a career student. I read enough textbooks on various things. I don't want that anymore. I taught at college and university. No more. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll talk to you on another video.